We have a special guest this evening, Elizabeth Atkins. She is an author, speaker, instructor, and consultant. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So let's get started. You've written several books, including your bestseller, White Chocolate. What inspired you to write the book?
Well, I have a clip here that will explain my story about how I started writing and why.
Okay, let's roll the clip.
My name is Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I have many titles. I'm a college professor. I am a best-selling author. I'm a mom. I'm a fitness enthusiast. I am a speaker on issues of diversity and biracial identity and interracial families. And I'm a journalist. I've written 10 books. I've ghost-written 5 books for people who've hired me to write their books for them. But what's nearest and dearest to my heart are my books White Chocolate. It's my first novel. White Chocolate is about a TV reporter who is biracial, and she's very proud of her mixed heritage. My second book, Dark Secret, is about someone who's passing for white. My father was a Roman Catholic priest, and he chose to leave the Catholic Church in 1965 so that he could start a family. He was 44. He married my mother, who was 19 and African American. They faced a lot of opposition from the church, from their families, extreme suspicion on both the white side and the black side of the family. And here I was born just before the riots here in Detroit. My birth has purpose because I was born of the passion of two people who were deeply in love, whose love endured for 24 years before my father died. But my birth is symbolic of that racial strife that was spreading across our country in a hail of bullets and fire and flame and murder. I was born in the midst of that as a symbol of hope. That's why when my father baptized me in the hospital room, he lifted me up and he said, "God, please give Elizabeth the power and the strength and the sense of purpose to be a princess of peace."
Let's get started.
Yes.
I would like to know what inspires you to write your books.
Well, as you saw, I'm biracial. My mother's African American and my father was white, and I look like I look. So a lot of times people have no idea that I'm mixed, and that's given me a very unique perspective. So sometimes I've felt like I need to walk around and announce myself to everybody. Sometimes I don't feel that I need to announce myself, that I should be accepted and loved by my spirit, not necessarily what I look like or what's my genetic background. But I really felt like nobody was writing about the biracial issue. So I wanted to sort of write myself into literature. The only images I knew of biracial people were very negative. When I was growing up, there was no Barack Obama, there was no Mariah Carey, Derek Jeter. The list goes on today. There was nobody for me to look up to and say, oh, they're like me. So I decided to be that person that other people can look up to and say, oh, she writes about this, she talks about this, she's confident about it, and she can help me know that I can live my dreams too.
How do you think you writing books affects your children?
Well, I have a son, he's 13, and when he was born 3 months before White Chocolate came out, and it's exciting for him because working at home, he can see me working, doing something I love that's exciting, and then when we'd go to the bookstore and the books had just come out, he would see the end result, and it was exciting for him. It's like, Mom did all those hours at the computer, and now here we are in the bookstore, and here's the book. So it's very inspiring.
Okay, let's ask some questions.
What audience is intended for your books, White Chocolate and Dark Secret?
That's an excellent question. They're adult books, so probably the material is equivalent to an R-rated movie because of some of the language and scenes. So when you turn 16 or 18 or 25, depending on how your parents are, you can read them. Mm-hmm.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
I would like to ask about your script, about
Yes.
what it was that you were writing now.
Excellent. Thank you for asking that. I have written 12 books. I've written articles as a journalist, but I wanted to do more. I'm always trying to learn something new. So I learned how to write a movie script. And it's called, one day I had this vision of a scene and I just started writing. And I've studied the art and craft of script writing. I took a 3-day seminar in New York from Robert McKee, who wrote the book Story, and he's like the guru of script writing. I learned from that. I have all these books, and I've studied movies when I watch them about why I like certain things and don't like. So I wrote a movie called The Ghostwriter, and I'm hoping to raise the funds to film it locally very soon. In the meantime, I met a director and an executive producer who, completely unrelated, invited me to be in their movie, and my son is in it too. And it's called Anything is Possible, and it's coming out in April, and it's going to be premiere in New York, LA, Florida, and Detroit. So that's very exciting. Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is, do you classify yourself as an African American?
Yes, I do, and I also say,
Oh,
more?
and I was just gonna say and why. Well, not why, but like, okay, it's kind of like an example. So you know how you might, well, for my example, it's like when I take the meat and everything, and like when I was younger, it would say check one,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be like white, black, and then that was it. But
Mm-hmm.
now it says like check your primary race.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what
That's a great question. And you're all growing up in an era where things are very different. But when I was growing up, it was check one only. So I understand where that's coming from, the historic one-drop rule in America, which started in slavery. If you had one drop of black blood, you were considered black, even if you have blonde hair and white skin. It doesn't matter. So I consider myself everything. I am African American, I am Caucasian, I am Native American. I'm all of that. And some people want me to say one or the other, and at times in my life I have. But the reality is I'm all of that. I shouldn't have to choose one, because I love my whole family, everybody. So when I have a series of boxes, I check all of them that apply. And I'm really excited that society, because there are so many more mixed race people, society has changed those types of forms, because it was very difficult for many people to have to choose one. You're essentially saying you're crossing off one of your parents, which is wrong. Thank you. You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
When you wrote the book Dark Secret, does the biracial woman who passes for white represent you?
Well, I got the idea because people always ask me if I pass for white, and the term passing for white means living as white and not telling anybody, hiding your secret. It means marrying a white person, living in a white neighborhood, never revealing, and always checking white on the boxes. So people would always ask me if I passed, and the answer is no. As you see, I've been on national television talking about being mixed race. But it did make me think, well, what if? And there's also the movie Imitation of Life that was in the 50s. See?
Yes.
Isn't it powerful? Now that happened in the 50s, and so that was a completely different era in terms of race relations. But I decided to explore what if someone were passing for white today, in today's modern world. And so that was the idea for White Chocolate. I mean Dark Secret, sorry. Dark Secret. I also read Alex Haley's book, Queen, which was made into a movie about his grandmother, and Halle Berry played in that movie. And it was very similar. She was a white-looking woman back in slave times. So she was forced to deal with the racism of that era, looking white but being African American.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
What is the movie that what is the movie about that's coming out in April?
It's called Anything is Possible, and it's a wholesome family movie, so everyone can see that one. And it's about a 10-year-old boy who's a piano prodigy. He's just had a natural talent for playing piano since he was 3 years old. He's been on Oprah's World's Most Talented Kids show. His name is Ethan Bortnick. He's from Florida, and he does piano concerts nationwide. So the movie is about a little boy who has a piano talent, and I play a role of a woman who owns an orphanage who helps the kids.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
So I know you were on Oprah about your weight loss.
Yes.
How was your life prior to that?
To the weight? Well, it's always been an issue. When I was 11, I started dieting. I was always a chubby girl. And I started dieting when I was 11 with my girlfriends, and there wasn't an awareness back then of eating issues. Now, if teachers recognize certain habits in children, like in middle school especially, they say something to the parents or the counselor or the child. When I was 11, I would starve myself all day, and my girlfriends did the same thing, and then eat a tiny dinner. And the problem with that is you lose weight fast. I would lose 20, 30 pounds, and then you starved yourself so much that you start eating everything in sight. So then I would gain the weight back because I would be eating everything under the sun, and psychologically that's a horrific cycle to keep going up or down, never staying stable. And that continued. But then when my son was born and I lost that 100 pounds, I said I'm not doing that to my body or my brain anymore. And so I finally learned some ways to stabilize, and I'm proud to say that I have stabilized. I'm not as thin as I was on that video running on the beach, but I feel really good and I'm really healthy. And I have a good relationship with food and body image and weight and all that, which means way more than what size jeans you wear. So it's taken a long time to get to that point, but it's really awesome. So I like to talk about it because I know there's a lot of people out there. In fact, this book I wrote about a family that was on The Biggest Loser, and together the whole family lost about 800 pounds. So I like to talk about it because 2/3 of Americans are overweight or obese. And so we need all the help we can get.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
What was your experience with filming the movie with your son?
It was incredible. It was amazing. I have always wanted to make my books into movies, and the opportunity just did not come. I've been to LA, New York, I've met all kinds of people in entertainment. It just didn't happen. And then when movies started coming to Detroit, I would see film sets everywhere. I'd like literally step over the cords to get where I'm going of all the equipment. I'm like, when is my time already? And then out of the blue, I got an opportunity to meet a director and an executive producer on their film set last spring. And it was so great because sometimes we might think of Hollywood people as being, you know, whatever stereotype you might have. But I felt so comfortable with them. They were very authentic and real and down to earth. And they were making a movie called Silent No More, which is about women overcoming abuse. And that comes out in January. And so I got to visit the set. That was so exciting, and we clicked. So then, at the end of July, I get a phone call. We're casting for our next movie in Detroit. Would you consider a role? I was, of course. And my son's been in drama in school for years, and so he auditioned for a role as a bully, a neighborhood bully who turns nice during the movie. And so I play the part of a woman. Throughout the whole movie, my role appears. And it was just really wild one day. It's, first of all, when you're a writer, you're all by yourself. It's you, the computer, it's quiet and still, that's it. When you're an actress or an actor, you're on the set with all these people around you. They're telling you what to do. Stand over here, say it like this, you know, look this way, do this. And so that, then you have to remember your lines, and then there's other like visitors to the set, so they're all standing around, and then the other actors, and so when they say action, it's like all this adrenaline, and you have to remember your lines. It's a wild experience.